Before we go on to find out your own discussions and your own thoughts about the Manchester derby, I have a very special surprise once I can unlock my phone, because I have sent a request to someone to ask their thoughts. I said to them, any thoughts on Manchester United for today's show? And this man called Jamie Davis, he replied to me, yes, sure, hang on, ... With anticipation now, I lead you into what he had to say about his own Manchester United. He said, put out a squad that were never going to beat City, unfortunately. Kind of getting tired of United not actually scoring a team goal. Most of our goals look to be from penalties, which I suggested to him earlier on the season with Pogba, and set pieces. The comparison between both sides says it all. United are far behind. P.S. Fellaini was superb. The guy never stops trying. I mean, first of all, Andrew, you haven't had a say on the sofa for quite some time. What are you doing?
Camera.
I told you to remind me. You never remind me of these things.
It's turned off.
It's turned off. Did I press recording on there? I don't know. Anyway, we'll sort that out. We'll sort that out in a second. I'll try and sort that out blindsided. But Andrew, your thoughts really on the Manchester derby, specifically what Jamie says. You know, this team is far behind from what the cross city rivals are currently doing.
I honestly thought you were going to ring him then live on air. Well, live pre-recorded on air. Yeah, it was. I guess you can't really argue with what Jamie says. It was just there's a golfing class. Everybody knew that before the game, and it was. Yeah, it was poor from United. It was what you expected, really. It was they started the game by sitting quite deep and inviting Man City on and inviting the pressure, and then lo and behold, City go and score because you invite them onto you, and they're one of the most clinical teams in world football. So it's the way they set up. They got everything they deserved. Manchester United, Man City. On another day, probably could have had a few more goals. It was just the final 10 minutes really was a non-event, and it was just it shows with Gundogan's goal at the end, where it's 44
passes. Yeah,
it's ridiculous. United just they could not get near him. They couldn't touch him. So it was poor from United. Nope, Fellaini did all right, but he was the best of a bad bunch, I think.
Yeah.
I did think first half, Vidic had some really good
Vidic.
God, how far back am I going?
They needed Vidic yesterday.
Matic has some really good moments. Covered a lot of ground and was very intelligent with his play. But then the second half, he dropped off massively, and just the whole team did. They managed to get a penalty, which was a penalty. And other than that, you can never see Man United scoring in that game at all.
No,
it was always going to be Man City.
It was terrible. Joe, did you catch much of the game? I'm presuming you were at Liverpool yesterday stewarding, but did you manage to catch any of the game?
No.
Listen to the radio at all?
I kept up. Obviously, I was on the way home when the Chelsea game was on, so I listened to that on the radio, and I got home and was eating my tea when the match was on. So,
what did you have for tea?
I had pizza.
Oh.
Pizza, garlic bread. Unhealthy, but
yeah. Athlete.
Clear athlete.
I can have a bad day once.
Cheat day.
Cheat day, yeah. But yeah, I watched the highlights later on in the day. I didn't watch it live, and I was discussing the game with a few of my friends that are United fans. I know, unbelievable, Liverpool fans and United fans being friends. But before the game, I said to me, if they had a go at City, there was a chance they could get something out of the game. If they sit back, City were just going to pick them apart. And what happened? They sat back, and they just had it handed to him, basically.
Yeah.
I think what's going to happen with Mourinho at United, they keep on churning out performances like that. I know in the last couple of weeks, they've said, his job's safe and all that lot. But really, if they're going to be performing like that in a derby, it says it all, really.
I don't know if you can be... I don't know. I don't know if that's maybe too harsh, because it's not like they were playing... It was a derby against Oldham Athletic. It's just the other side of Manchester. It was against one of the best teams, arguably the best team the Premier League has ever seen.
But you can't get yourself up for a derby, your local city derby, bragging rights at stake. Then
but where's the loyalty to Manchester in that Man United team? And the same with City, really. Derbies don't mean as much, I don't think, these days as they did. The fans like to talk them up as because to the fans they're massive, and to the players, they want to beat their rivals. But derbies are always based on when there'd be a lot of homegrown players in the squad. And so it was local pride you were playing for. These days, do they give a toss when they're going on with 200 grand in their pocket still? No. If they get beat, they get beat. If they win, they win. It doesn't really...
I think players like David Silva and Sergio Aguero care about Manchester derby.
That's ingrained in them because they've been at Man City for...
So I think there is a couple of players, even in United as well. I think people like David De Gea or Mata in the case of that as well. Have that structure of the Manchester United way.
I don't think David De Gea, but I don't think Juan Mata. I don't think Well, the fact he was on the bench anyway. So when he
that's the other question. Really, is to do with Jose Mourinho's selection in this team. Pogba, of course, presumably injured. How much of that is true, we'll have to wait and see. And then you've got the most expensive striker that you've got on your team in Romelu Lukaku, who's sitting on the bench as well.
Supposedly injured, just coming back from a niggle.
Supposedly coming back from an injury too. You got Sanchez as well sitting on the bench. He didn't come on until late in the second half with Juan Mata. So how much do we say this is to do with the United squad that's out there, and how much do we say this result was mainly done because of Jose Mourinho's selection of the squad?
I'd say it's 50-50 on the first two. Whether it's a case of Mourinho's selection with a squad, you look at the squad that he's got. If you were looking at it player for player, that squad cannot compete with Manchester City. So it's what's he gonna? He can't pull a rabbit out of the hat. But then you can look at his spending that he has made, the signings he's made, his own signings like an Eric Bailly or Victor Lindelof. At first, Lindelof's looking like he's coming on quite well, but you look at the players that he signed and necessarily maybe, I don't know if you want to say wasting money on. So it's like, yeah, okay, you've not got a squad that's anywhere near Man City. You can't compete with them that way, but you have had money to spend. And then you've kind of cried and moaned about it. But then you look at Man City, where Pep Guardiola basically bought a whole new defence. Then the next summer went out and bought another 2 fullbacks for basically 100 million between the two of them, in Mendy and Walker. And it's like, yeah, okay. Jose, he was given that initial money, but he's not been given the follow-up money to repair his own mistakes and mismanagement. So it's partly to blame on the manager, because talking about derbies, you need to get your squad up for it. And I don't think Mourinho's got that approach. The way he was going into the game was almost expecting to get beat. And if you're conveying that emotion, that thought process as a manager through to your players, then they're going to be thinking, well, yeah, we haven't really got a chance against these. It's Man City. They hammered the league last season. They're going to beat us again. And I think also to United's detriment this time was the fact that City threw away that 2-goal lead last season when United came back to win 3-2. And I think City were maybe wary of that once they got ahead, they didn't really take their foot off the pedal. And that United, the last 3 games they've played have all been big comebacks. Like Juventus in the week, Newcastle, and was it Bournemouth as well, where they came back to win in the second half. And it's almost as if United went into this thinking, yeah, we'll do the same, we'll start slow, we'll invite the pressure, and then we'll come back and win it at the end. And it's like, no disrespect to Bournemouth or to Newcastle. City. The Juventus game I think was a bit of a fluke, but they played quite well in that, I'll give them that. But the other 2 games, it's like, it's a different level of opposition. Manchester City, they're not going to take the foot off the gas. Yeah,
so Joe, this midfield that Jose put out of Juan Mata, Marion Fellaini, and Ada Herrera during the game, and Matic as well before the Mata substitution.
And Lingard as well. Did he start or did he come on? Well,
I was saying in terms of like central midfield, Lingard was like a winger at the beginning of the game with Martial on the other side and Rashford up front. Is this United midfield good enough really for them to finish in the top 4 if it was to be a team like that really on a weekly basis?
No. With Ander Herrera, I've always thought he was overrated to begin with. Anyway, a lot of people say, "Oh, we can dictate the play."
He had a good season once before the Mata signing. He was really good. It was more of a Jose Mourinho forcing Herrera out the squad.
I thought he was better when Mata came in, because I thought those two played really well together. When they got a run of maybe 5 or 6 games, which is a rarity, but it was just after Mata came in, and you could tell they like each other on and off the pitch, and you see all the videos of them just messing around together, and they seem to be on each other's wavelength on the pitch, but they hardly ever play together. But yeah, sorry, Joe.
So with Nemanja Matic, when they signed him from Chelsea, obviously I was a big fan of him at Chelsea. I thought he's solid defensive mid. He hasn't really performed that well this season. I've noticed a lot of United fans seem to criticise him, whether that's his own fault or whether that's just the way the tactics of the team, the fact that United fight so much pressure on themselves. One man can't do it all on his own, whether it's that. And who was the other one you said was in the midfield with?
Mata, Herrera and Fellaini.
Obviously Fellaini.
They were the 3 that started.
Fellaini, yeah, Jamie said he played quite well, but obviously, as Andy said, I agree with him, he was the best of a really bad bunch.
Yeah.
But Mata, when he come on, he's obviously always a professional. He always works hard for the United. And when I was saying about his desire in the derby before, it was the hunger and anger when Raheem Sterling was on the ball and he was doing step overs, and then he comes into the corner and he's having a word with him after the tackle, and he's having a word with his own players. That's what you want in a derby. You want that fire, you want that passion and that drive to go and win games. And half the United squad didn't seem to have that. It's like Sanchez, when he come on, he just walks off. He doesn't even close Sterling down.
Yeah.
He just stands there and backs off and gives him the space. Where's the tackle? Years ago, I can't stand the bloke, but Gary Neville would have come in and smashed Sterling into a challenge and sent him into row Z. No challenges in derbies. It's gone the same in the Merseyside derbies. Well, obviously, I'm a big Liverpool fan. I've watched that, and I've noticed a little bit in the London derbies. They've gone stale. Whether it's the influx of foreign players, I don't know, but they need to have it driven into them that these are big games. We need to win these if we want to compete. It's not just, even if you're not competing, you've got to try and get something over your rivals because it's the fans who suffer at the end of the day as well.
Yeah, it's missing players like Gary Neville, where even if the rest of the team weren't Manchester born and bred, he'd be at and getting them, making them aware what these games mean. Same with, again, not a fan, but Jamie Carragher at Liverpool. He was there and did. I guess that there's been a little bit of follow through because you've got a Trent Alexander-Arnold coming in, for example. But yeah, I think there's the big teams. They I don't know. They've lost that a bit. There's who at Arsenal really is coming through. There was Jack Wilshere, but he was
they got like
overrated.
Guendouzi. I can never say his name.
Guendouzi.
He's a quality player. I love him.
He's coming in the summer
from
France. He's not. You need somebody who ideally, in an ideal world, has grown up as a fan of that club and has come through the ranks, and that's his passion is that team. You can learn it, you can grow into it, but I think it always helps if there's that sort of base there. Yeah, Spurs have got Harry Kane, but he doesn't always come across as that sort of wind them up, get in their face sort of player.
Plus, he wore the Arsenal shirt as a youngster,
Yeah. Well, isn't that picture of Steven Gerrard with a load of Everton trophies and an Everton kit?
Yeah, that was his uncle forced him to wear it on the tour.
Of course.
But it's one of those.
It all comes out the woodwork now. It all comes out the woodwork now.
But it's like, in the case of Jamie Carragher, he was a boyhood Evertonian fan. Home and away, every game, was there with his family, and obviously coming to Liverpool Academy, come through Liverpool, and he just wanted to get one over on the people that he used to idolise, and I think that's a good thing as well.
Yeah.
No matter what team it is, you got those players. You've got to try, because you got some of the players in the City team that said that when they were growing up, they supported United. So you'd want to get one over on the team that never signed you.
Yeah.
Surely.
The weekend before, it was David Brooks playing for Bournemouth, and he had a cracking game, and that was, and in the commentary on that, they were saying he grew up as a Man United fan, and it's his basically his dream now is to score past United. It is almost.
What does United need to do then to finish in the top four? What do they need to change?
I don't think they can. I honestly don't think they can. I think they needed a centre half in the summer. I think they've got some good centre halves there. I really like Lindelof. I think Bailly can be good. They just need an organiser in there. They need somebody barking orders. They need someone like Toby Alderweireld would have been perfect. That was a senior professional pro who.
They need that defender, don't they? They need to sign a defender in January.
Marshall things really, and possibly a fullback because he seems to a right back. He seems to have fallen out of love with Antonio Valencia.
Yeah,
Ashley Young he's still a winger player. Yeah, he's still a winger playing right back now, and he's doing all right. He's doing all right, but there's better out there. So I just think they need somebody to marshal that defence. They could do with somebody in the middle of the park to. It is to if I mean he's effective at what he does, but if Marouane Fellaini is your big answer to playing against one of the best teams in the world, then you're asking the wrong questions.
Well, to touch on that centre-back thing, you've seen the lead at the back. For years, they've had these big centre-backs that can control the play. You had Jaap Stam, didn't they, at one point? Yeah. I'm trying to think of who they had in the early 2000s.
Your man that you thought played yesterday, Vidic.
Vidic, Ferdinand.
Rio Ferdinand.
And even go back to the 90s when they first started their first the first top division title for 26 years, Steve Bruce and Gary Pallister. And then when Bruce retired, Pallister carried on playing, and then they bring in Jaap Stam, and Jaap Stam be barking orders, and you'd have Vidic and Rio Ferdinand. There's always been those sort of leaders at the back. Even in the goalkeeper, Peter Schmeichel, just no messing at all. Van der Sar even. They're all just seasoned people who've been around the block and weren't afraid to have a slanging match on the pitch and to make, as long as, they don't care if you hated them, but as long as you were in the right place, in the right position, where you needed to be. And there's nobody with the gumption, for lack of a better word, for airplay friendly stuff at the back for them. They need somebody to marshal things. Even Roy Keane, Paul Scholes in the midfield would be giving orders. Nicky Butt even. There's nothing there for him. It's almost soulless at times.
You were saying a point and he just interrupted you, so I thought you might want to finish it off, but never mind.
It's okay.
I got a centre back, so I just went on my massive tirade about centre half.
I didn't mind, you basically pretty much said what I was thinking.
Before we go to a music break,
sorry, Joe.
Before we go to a music break, let's show some love to City because they did play really well against United and they got themselves going straight away from the off, really, after about 10 minutes or so. What's been the key, really, to find their success so far this season, do you think?
Well,
go wild.
Just when he's in the middle of this point, just jump in on, all right? Just do that, all right?
I think the key to success is that Guardiola never lets them rest on their laurels. He's always pushing them to do better and better. He said the other week when they won, I'm trying to think, was it 5-1 away to Cardiff? Oh, we could do better. They're always pushing them to better. He's changed tactics this season, because last season they tried to blow away teams and they got caught out a couple of times. He's changed tactics this year and they're still unbeaten and they're playing fantastic. Sergio Aguero, shout out to him, because when he come into so Pep Guardiola come to City, everyone was saying, oh, this could be the end of Aguero's City career. But he's adapted to his gameplay. He's taken on board what Guardiola's told him to do. And in fact, he's actually better for it. Even in his 30s, he's probably doing the best he's ever done in the last 5 years. And he's one of the most consistent strikers in the league. He's now scored 8 times against Manchester United in derbies, the second most. He's just behind Alan Shearer by a couple of goals. And then, obviously, the goal yesterday was similar to what he did against QPR. It had shades of the QPR goal that won them the title back in 2012. Except for this time, he rifled it into the roof of the net past the guy who could have maybe arguably done better. But I think he's one of the key players for Manchester City. If they want to compete for the title this year, obviously the competition between him and Hayes for that starting berth is going to be absolutely brilliant. He's got strength and depth everywhere. I can't see any weakness in that Manchester City side, really. And it's worrying, especially if I want Liverpool to win the title.
Yeah, I suppose it is. And, as you mentioned, Aguero has been absolutely fantastic for them this season, and he's really responded to what Guardiola has asked for him. And Gabriel Jesus is a good replacement if he's not firing on a certain day to come into this team and to pick up the pieces and help City win games.